This team has set out to transport a nuclear weapon to the Sun in order to jumpstart it, but they will soon have to make some challenging decisions. The Sun is fading in 2057, resulting in Earth's frigid temperatures. Icarus was a mission dispatched 7 years ago to restart the Sun, but for some reason the spacecraft vanished. The crew of Icarus 2 is now attempting the same task. They are carrying a Manhattan-sized stellar bomb that they want to explode on the Sun's surface in order to revive the dying star. Icarus 2's whole ship is constructed beneath a massive shield that shields it from the Sun's heat and light. 8 astronauts are present on the Icarus 2, Mace, Corazon, Cassie, Trey, and Harvey in addition to Kappa, who created and controls the stellar bomb. Cyril is seeing the Sun via a glass that blocks the Sun's brightness while seated in the ship's observation area. He commands Icarus, the ship's AI, to lower the filter so he may see more sunlight. Icarus only reveals to him 3.1% of the Sun's total power, but even this is too much for him to endure. He is enthralled by it. Next, Canada informs the crew while they are eating supper together that they will approach the dead zone within the next 24 hours and lose all contact with Earth. This was not anticipated until the next week. Canada advises anyone who wants to send out farewell messages to Earth to do so right away. First to enter, Kappa records a message for his family in which he informs them that by the time they get it, he will be close to the Sun. Corazon, who is in charge of the greenhouse aboard the ship, reports to Canada that they are creating more oxygen than they need, which means they will have enough for the return trip. Icarus 1 is on Canada's mind, and Corazon says they don't know what went wrong with that mission, but it most certainly wasn't for lack of oxygen. Because Kappa waited too long to transmit his message and they can no longer send out signals because the solar wind has picked up, a fight breaks out between Mace and Kappa. Due to his outburst, Mace is forced to meet with Cyril. Cyril orders him to spend 2 hours in the Earth chamber, which simulates the Earth for astronauts. Later, Mace offers Kappa a clumsily delivered apologies. All of the crew members assemble in the observation room to watch Mercury pass in front of the Sun after Cassie alerts them about the event. After then, Harvey gathers everyone after hearing an unusual signal. He explains that the iron composition of Mercury is working like an antenna right now, allowing the Icarus 1 distress call to reach them. When they look up the signal's position, they see that the spacecraft is not far from the Sun and is within a few thousand miles of their own trajectory. They all discuss the possibility that the ship's crew is still alive, but Mace dismisses this discussion as absurd because their goal is too crucial to abandon in order to help a crew that may or may not be alive. Everyone nods in agreement, but Cyril notes that their task is extremely sensitive and has only been tried in principle. They have no clue if it will succeed in practice. They will have 2 chances to complete the assignment if they travel to Icarus 1, thus it could be worthwhile to take the diversion. Canada disagrees with Mace's suggestion that they should vote on it and instead insists that Kappa make the choice because he is the most knowledgeable about it. Kappa acknowledges to Canada that there are too many unknowns to know with certainty whether the bomb will truly get it to the Sun's surface. He acknowledges that because they are the final hope for mankind and there is no material remaining on Earth for another expedition, it would be preferable if they had 2 chances to succeed. They settle on pursuing Icarus 1 next. The crew gathers to investigate an alert heard across the ship. Trey admits that he made a mistake. He calculated the new trajectory and rotated the spacecraft, but he neglected to change the angle of their shield to reflect the Sun's altered location in relation to them. Although Canada claims that not all of them are now burning from the Sun, the harm is not as severe as he is making himself out to be. 4 sectors of the shield are down, according to Mace, but they need to be physically reset outside since the computer components inside are burnt. Canada offers to depart, and Trey offers to accompany him. Trey is advised to stay by Canada, and Kappa is advised to go by Mace. Kappa and Canada walk outside to physically inspect the shield while dressed in extraordinarily heavy metallic gold spacesuits. While this is happening, Cassie turns the shield such that the locations they will be inspecting are in the shade and away from the Sun. Great sounds are made as the shield spins, and Mace explains that these noises are simply caused by the shield's many components expanding and contracting as they cool. Trey continues to criticize himself for making the error in the meantime. Kappa and Canada reach the shield while drenched in perspiration and under extreme duress, and they are able to reset the first damaged sector. The crew is thrilled at the victory, but just then, one of the ship's revolving towers makes touch with the Sun's rays and reflects them directly into the greenhouse, setting it on fire. Icarus assumes command of the ship and starts rotating the shield back to its original position to save the entire ship from catching fire after sensing a danger to the mission. Icarus is overruled by Cassie since Kappa and Canada would be exposed to the Sun if the shield rotated. Mace objects and claims that their whole mission would fail if they don't spin the shield, which is more essential than the lives of Kappa and Canada. Cassie is upset, but Canada supports Mace and maintains that the task comes first. Corazon, meantime, is heartbroken about the greenhouse's demise. Canada instructs Kappa to return to the ship as he works on the one remaining area of the shield that has to be reset. Everyone watches as Canada is enveloped in the full power of the sun after he successfully closes it in time. Trey is now under anesthesia in the medical area because Searle identified him as a suicide risk. The crew is informed by Harvey, the new captain, that because the greenhouse has been destroyed, they no longer have enough oxygen to get to the sun and that their only option is to board Icarus 1. There isn't enough oxygen for all 7 crew members, but Corazon, Cassie, and Mace argue that if there were only 4, there would be enough oxygen to accomplish the job. This implies that for the mission to be successful, 3 of them would have to perish. When Cassie speaks with Kappa, she expresses her conviction that everyone will perish. She acknowledges her fear and inquires about Kappa's level of apprehension. Kappa is fervent in his discussion about the stellar bomb and claims that they will effectively be producing a star within a star. As a result, he claims that he is not afraid since it will be beautiful. When they reach Icarus 1, they disengage from their shield and dock with the ship. Searle, Mace, Harvey, and Kappa board the ship and start sifting through the contents. The stellar bomb is still operational, according to Kappa. Harvey discovers that the greenhouse has been expanding throughout, and Searle discovers that the ship contains food and flowing water. However, Mace discovers that the ship's flying systems have been deactivated for an unknown cause. In the ship's archives, he discovers a video message from the captain, Pinbacker, who preaches like a fanatical madman about how God has determined that it is humanity's time to die and that their research and dreams are futile. He claims that the Icarus 1 crew has given up on their objective. The spacecraft's mainframe suffers a coolant breakdown, which Mace finds, meaning that the voyage was pointless because the ship can never fly again. The Icarus 1 crew members' remains are discovered by Cyril in the observation room. He doesn't know why or how, but he suspects they were burned since the filter let all the sunlight through. The only reason there isn't sunlight in the room, according to him, is because they are hiding beneath Icarus 2's shield, even though the filter is likely completely open. Icarus 2 begins to drift away from Icarus 1 at that precise moment due to an unidentified mishap. The moment Mace and the group return to the airlock, Cassie informs that the airlock has been destroyed and they are unable to dock. Icarus 1 contains a spacesuit, which Mace claims Kappa will put on before returning to Icarus 2. Harvey disagrees and inquires as to why only Kappa is allowed to survive. Mace responds because Kappa is the only one who is familiar with how to use the bomb. Harvey becomes conceited and claims that since he is the captain, he deserves to survive. They will line up the 2 ships so that when they open the entrance, the vacuum will pull them all into Icarus 2 at full speed. This is Mace's solution to the problem. The best strategy they have, argues Mace, despite Corazon's warnings that space is very cold and that even a brief trip without suits will kill them. Icarus 1 doesn't have a computer, so Cyril explains that someone must stay behind and manually unlock the door. Harvey is concerned that everyone wants him to remain, but Searle offers to do it. Searle unlocks the hatch as Harvey, Kappa, and Mace form a queue at the door. On his way out, Harvey knocks against the door, which alters his course and causes him to fly into space, where he freezes and perishes. Mace and Kappa arrive to the ship in the interim. Despite having many cold burns on his body, Mace is still alive. After Icarus 2 moves, the entire power of sunshine penetrates the observation chamber of Icarus 1, where Cyril enters. He is killed when he is sucked inside it. Back on Icarus 2, Mace, Cassie, Kappa, and Corazon debate how the airlock wasn't damaged accidentally, rather, someone broke it. Since Trey is a risk and his demise would free up oxygen for them to finish the job, they all suspect Trey. Kappa, Corazon, and Mace support executing him, but Cassie abstains from the decision. She watches in horror as Mace gets ready to murder Trey. When Mace comes with a knife ready to kill Trey, he discovers that he has already killed himself. Since Kappa chose to divert to Icarus 1, Mace holds Kappa responsible for all that has occurred. Since there isn't much oxygen aboard the ship, the 2 can't fight for very long before they exhaust themselves. Kappa gets furious, and they start to fight. Later, Icarus tells Kappa while he is at work that there are 5 passengers on the spacecraft, and one of them is unidentified. Icarus claims that the enigmatic figure is in the observation space. When Kappa gets there, he discovers a burned-out Pinbacker who is surprisingly still alive. Once more, he talks about Judgment Day like a religious fanatic and claims that he will be the only person still alive to communicate with God on that day. He uses a knife to stab Kappa in the chest. Pinbacker pursues Kappa as he flees throughout the ship. Pinbacker locks Kappa in the compartment when he shuts it from the outside, trapping him within. Kappa understands that Pinbacker was the one who wrecked the airlock. Like he undoubtedly did with Icarus I, Pinbacker goes to the ship's mainframe and removes it from the coolant. As a result, the spacecraft starts to power down. In the greenhouse, Corazon discovers a tiny plant that is still alive. She tries to phone Mace to tell him the good news, but Pinbacker shows up and stabs her in the back. When Mace gets to the main computer, he activates it using a portable battery. He communicates with Kappa by using a suit in his compartment. Mace learns from Kappa about Pinbacker and that the mainframe is running low on coolant. Mace must physically enter the icy coolant to lower the mainframe because there is no electricity. In the meantime, Cassie awakens in her bedroom and notices that someone is around. She flees covertly, but Pinbacker notices her and pursues her. Running inside the bomb room is Cassie. The computer might not come back up in time, so Kappa will have to manually direct the bomb into the sun, warns Mace, who is now frozen. Mace freezes to death while attempting to drop the final mainframe into the coolant when his leg becomes trapped. Kappa uses the heating tool in his compartment to liberate himself while still wearing the suit. He enters the control room and manually separates the bomb and the shield from the ship's body before rushing to board it before it departs too far. He does a spectacular jump from the spacecraft to the bomb and gets it there just in time for the bomb's boosters to activate. Cassie is there as he enters the bomb room, but Pinbacker is there as well. Kappa and Cassie are able to escape after a brief skirmish with him, and Kappa makes it to the bomb's control panel. When he detonates the device, the show is every bit as breathtaking as he had anticipated. Kappa sends his final message to his family back on Earth, instructing them to simply watch for when the sun begins to shine a bit brighter because when that occurs, they will know that Kappa has succeeded. When they suddenly turn to look above, the light level rises.